Evans here. We're going to start a big project where we're going to make multiple parts, and we're starting with this one right here. It's called the train stack. And we're going to build an entire kind of toy train. But before we get into that, I'd like to get in today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Evans Soda. Remember, it's the best engineering soda on the market. To begin our process, first start by creating a folder. So I want you to hit create a folder and type in toy train or miniature train. Either one is fine. And then hit create. I'm going to hit cancel since I've already done that. And we're going to store all of our parts inside of there. I already have several of them that I've been working on ahead of time to make sure that I can go over it really well for you. I want to start with the smokestack. So this is kind of like the older train, the one that is like coal fed or something that has smoke coming out at the top, kind of the classic train look. So I'm going to hit create document, and I'm going to call it, if you notice I have numbers and so forth on each one of those. So I'll call it 2 smokestack. And then put your class period and your initials. I'm going to put 6 period, and then my initials are JLE, and then hit OK. Now, another thing I want to show you is, so I've got my CAD software here on Shape, and I've got the drawings here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this tab and pull it out there, and then I'm going to press on my keyboard the Windows button and the arrow to the right. And then I'm going to click this one and click the Windows button and the arrow to the left, and it does a perfect split screen. I thought you guys might want to know that. So in order to do this assignment, I'm going to use the Revolve tool, and I'm going to revolve this shape using all these dimensions that I have right here. Notice some things are missing that you might want. Like you might want to know the angle of this one, but they don't give it to you. They kind of give like the rise over run for this point, like the exact point location here and here. So we don't know the angle. And we don't know the diameter of the top. We just know that it's 15 degrees off of this point. So there's a few things that are a little different from what you might want to see, but we can use that still to do our drawing. So I'm going to click Start Sketch, click on the front view, click on the front tab, and I'm going to draw this shape. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go out. And notice how once I click, how it puts a box around it. It's a lot faster if you just type the number there. If not, I've showed you how to put in your own dimensions. I'm going to click. And now these other ones, I don't know the dimensions, so I'm just going to make the general shape. And then make sure I come back right where it is. All the other shapes are either horizontal or vertical, and the only 2 lines are these 2 angled ones right here. And let me kind of expand this one out here. Hit escape and double click front if it will let me. Sorry. Trying to zoom in and out a little bit here. All right, so let's start putting in our numbers. We have that it's 175 tall, so I'm going to click the top and the bottom and put 1.75. The bottom and that little point, 1.5, I believe. Yes, and it sticks out 675, so I'm going to click this edge and this little point. There we go. Make sure it's not coming out crooked and that it's completely straight. This was 0.625. There we go. Hit escape. So this little point right here is the one that I want to move around. Now I'm going to click the line tool, and I'm going to click on this point here, and I'm going to go vertically up, and just click a line. It doesn't matter the length or anything like that. Now I'm going to click the dimension tool, and I'm going to click these two lines, and I want this to be 15 degrees. And I'm going to double check. I got all my numbers. Looks correct. And then I'm going to hit the check mark and use the Revolve tool. Looks like a donut. My axis is the back line. It revolves. I'm going to hit OK. Now, the last step is making the hole at the top. Now, you can extrude 2 cylinders going down, but I'm going to show you how to do it in one shot. If we look at all these numbers here, it's a little bit confusing. It says 0.375 for a diameter, and then it says depth 1.5. And then it has this like rectangle box, and it says 875 for a diameter, and then a depth of 375. So that's what those symbols are. The line with the arrow pointing down, that means depth. And then the circle with the diagonal slash, of course, is diameter. I've showed you that one before. Now, this open box is a symbol for counterbore. Counterbore is if you've ever had any item and the screw is like sunken into the plastic or the metal or something like that. So the headed screw is underneath the surface. Like if you look at the back of your game controllers, or actually a lot of things that are made of plastic or metal, the screws are usually not right on the surface. They're kind of sunken back in. And so one of those ways of sinking that screw back in is with what's called a counterbore. In order to do that, I'm going to create a sketch on this surface here. And I want a single point here, point. And I want it, and maybe I should zoom in a little bit here. Well, there sort of already is a point there, but I'm going to officially put a point right in the center of this circle. If you get close, it should snap to it. I'm going to hit the check mark. And then I'm going to do a hole feature. If you have yours expanded out, it should be easier to find. There it is, hole. Let me kind of expand it out. I'm going to put it right on that center point. And I want the hole to not be a simple hole, but a counterbore. And I don't want it to be through all. I want it to be blind, meaning it has a distance. And if you look, it already is kind of producing what we want, the hole down there. So I've got several different dimensions here. I've got what's the diameter of the overall hole, and that was 375.375. And then the diameter of the counterbore, that's a larger number here, 875. And if you want to know how I'm switching between screens, I'm pressing Alt-Tab on my keyboard. It allows me to toggle between any two screens I was on last. The depth of the counterbore is 375. And then the depth of the overall hole is 1.5, 1.5. And we're going to click the check mark on that. I believe that's all we need. There. And there is our smokestack. You should be able to tip it and see that it didn't go all the way through. It shouldn't. Yeah. One thing that I also like to do is to get rid of all of the origin and the work plane, so it's just the part. I prefer it like that because then you can zoom in closer. And I also want to right click on part 1 and go to properties. Sorry, not properties. Right click on part 1 and go to assign material. And I want it to be brass. We're going to just put it as red brass. Each material has different densities and so forth, and I want it to be at red brass. And if you notice, unfortunately, it doesn't change the look, which I find very annoying. But I'm going to edit the appearance, and I'm going to give it kind of a reddish color. You can kind of pick which color you like. I'm picking in this kind of orangey red family. But you can pick whatever you want. You know, it could be painted red or whatnot. So pick whatever color you want. We're going to try and add a material and a color to every single one of the pieces we have. And that's it. It should be saved as 2 smokestack with your class period and initials. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or the neighbor next to you. And be ready for the next part. And don't forget our sponsor, Evans.